Hey friends, Jessica here again, and I'm super excited to bring you this third free Photoshop brush for the third day of the 36 days of type. And this one is the letter C. And as you can see here, this is like a really crazy, wild, kind of frosting-like wet brush. And actually, if you visited my Instagram before, you might have seen this brush already in play here. And I was actually really inspired by this Gucci look. And I'll link this down below to this page where I got the image from. But this is for the new fall collection for Gucci. And I thought this shirt was really cool. And it would be cool to make like a really creamy, kind of silky, satiny brush to mimic that. And we're actually going to be sampling the brush using the sampling directly from the image. So what you would want to do is screenshot this and then open that up in your Photoshop. And so we're going to pop over here to Photoshop, and I have my screenshot of this shirt open. And I've got my file here. And actually, I'm going to just turn this off here. And actually what's cool is this one, I actually just modified one of my gold brushes from my latest 24 karat gold live collection. And it's got this, this is some of the wet creamy brushes, but as you can see, you can make some really cool funky strokes, but I modified this just a little bit, this brush. And so definitely check out the collection if you love gold brushes. I've got a lot of really cool stuff in there. So I just modified that brush a little bit for my purposes. And first of all, you'll have access to this, to my demo file. And what I did to start off with and kind of keep me on track is I typed out a letter C, because I'm just going to use that as a guide. And I think I used like a Gotham font. So I've got the C. I took the transparency down so it's pretty faint, but that's going to give me like a nice guide so I can kind of keep on track. And what else? We want to load up the brushes. So if you're in the newest version of Photoshop, Photoshop CC, you can load them as an ABR file, and it already has all of the settings set for you. So it's got the mixer brush settings, and it even has the color loaded for you. So you can literally take this brush that I've got for you and just start painting like this, and you don't even have to sample the images yourself. So it's very cool. So load that up into your brush panel, and if you're not familiar with how to do that, make sure your brush panel is visible. Go to Window, Brushes. There you'll have your brush panel. In the top right corner, click Import Brushes and import that ABR file. And now if you are in an older version of Photoshop, you load that via the tool presets. This is like for Photoshop CS6. You go to Window, Tool Presets, pop that up. Top right corner, load tool presets, and you load up the tool preset, and it's the same thing. It's got the same brush and all loaded up and ready to go just like this. I've loaded the color. Now, one thing about preloaded brushes with the mixer brush setting, if you change the size of the brush, it's going to lose that color that's loaded up into the brush. That's totally normal. So just so you know, I did that as a courtesy to load up the color for you into the brush. But if you change the size, obviously that's going to go away. But I'll show you how to load the color up, and you can play around with sampling your own colors from your own images. So you don't have to just use, this image. You can use anything. And what's cool is when you sample it, it's always going to turn out different. So I'm just going to go here to my my brush, grab the brush C, the wet brush, and I'm going to go over to my screenshot here. And I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to click Option, and if you're on a PC, click Alt, and then just tap on the image. And right up here, it's going to load up that image. So it's always going to look different no matter what, depending on where you sample in your image. So it's really cool. You can get some cool effects. And I'm going to pop over here, and then I'm just going to use this brush that I sampled. And as you can see, this one is not as dramatic because I didn't sample as much of that dark. But you can play around, and it's interesting to see how it turns out. So it can look different if you're painting down, if you're painting up, if you're painting left, and if you're painting right, because whatever colors are up here, it's going to pull down, same thing that way. So with these mixer brush, It's really fun like that. And let's see, I'll go over here and just kind of sample something different. And so you can see just, kind of how it can be really crazy and different. So I sampled this area. Let's see what this one looks like. Yeah, that one's paler, but it's got some cool light to dark contrast, which is really fun. I'm going to go over here. And as you option click or alt click, you can see this area changing, and so you can preview the area that you're sampling from. This is about where I sampled before, and what I like it is that you got that light on the top and the dark on the side, so that whenever you paint, you're going to get some of that cool thing. So that one's not quite as cool as my first one. I really sampled a good part of the image because you see you don't have as much of those contrasts there. Let me just try one more sample here. We'll just play around. But yeah, it's cool. So you just play around, have fun, experiment. And I like my original sample, so I'm just going to go to my wet here. Yeah, it's a little bit different. So now we're ready to actually paint, but you just grab the image. You don't have to change the size or anything. And I've got my little C as a guide here. And what I'm going to do is, let's see here. I'm just going to kind of do this back and forth motion and play with that. I love that. And just go to about here and play with that back and forth, because it really gives you that frosting kind of effect. And if I keep going like down here, I think I'm just going to undo it just a second. Oops, getting a little slow as my computer is a little low on memory, and when I record, sometimes it slows it down. But there's not as much contrast down here, so I'm actually going to undo that. And let's just do it again here. I'm going to stop to about right here. So like I did before, I'm going to just play with that back and forth and have fun. And then just leave it about there. And now I'm going to make a new brush. Now I'm going to go down here and let's see here. I'm going to do the same thing but move up to there. There we go. My Ancient of Days computer is getting better. So there we go. And that way I have the cool, like some good contrast and stuff. So it's all about playing around, experimenting, and having fun with the different angles. And it's going to look different if you paint like left to right, if you paint right to left, if you paint up to down. But this is really fun, and you can play around with this technique. And definitely, if you are not familiar with mixer brush settings in your in Photoshop, definitely check that out. And even I have, I'll link down below, but I have got some really cool techniques and free brushes that I did in collaboration with Adobe, and I'll link them down below, so you can just download those straight from Adobe and maybe learn some new techniques and have a little fun with that. So be sure to let me know what you think about this. If you want me to keep going and keep making some free brushes and sharing some techniques, and stay tuned for tomorrow, which will be the letter D. And your comments definitely keep me motivated to keep sharing brushes. And then I will link, there's a direct download to this. There'll be a direct download to this on my blog. And you don't have to sign up for my newsletter or anything like that. It's just a free download. But if you want to sign up for my newsletter, I definitely recommend that. And subscribe to my YouTube. I'm always experimenting with Photoshop. I'm always coming up with new techniques, and I really love to share them with you guys. So thanks so much for checking that out, and see you tomorrow.